Plant vs Zombies has its fair share of enemies that are so annoyingly tough you may feel like they've eaten your actual brains out trying to kill them, even with the power-ups. What do you mean you can't power toss a Gargantuar? Anyway, the zombies were fairly tame before Big Wave Beach came out, and although some subsequent worlds such as Frostbite Caves are toned down, they still have one or two difficult zombies. The rules for this list are that no Zombots are allowed, only one Gargantuar is allowed on, of course, and if there's a harder version of the zombie, only that will be on. I.e. if the Pelican is on, the sequel zombie is disqualified, but spoiler, neither will be on, so let's get going. Starting off the list is the Iceweasel. While weasels are slightly slower than chickens, they take 2 points rather than a quarter of 1 point, making them tough to the point the lightning reach strategy you probably use on chickens is basically pointless until you get them to a certain high level. Other strategies such as snapdragon balls could be used, but that doesn't mean the weasel colony is easy to tackle, especially when the horde has come early in Icebound Battleground. The fact that one on its own is easy to tackle ranks it at only number 10. That doesn't deny the fact that the majority of loss in Frostbite Caves probably come from these guys. Number 9 is the Pharaoh Zombie. This one is slightly controversial because it is very low-key today compared to many other zombies, but back in the game's dark ages, not that one, these guys were tough nuts to crack. Before they patched it, its whole shtick was that an instant kill would not kill it, it would only destroy its sarcophagus, the next thing you know you've got a Clownmouth and speed running after your brains. Other plants such as chili beans are completely ineffective against them, so the best option would be to bonk behind the nut and use backup range plants. Of course, when they're in groups, well, come up with something in the heat of the moment, or plant food a snapdragon. In 8th place is the MC Zombie. Although not the healthiest of horrible house hellhounds, their spin attack has a 3x3 range, the same as the cherry bomb, in case you want a reference, and can knock down even the toughest plants in no time, making short work of virtually every plant that you unlock in Neon Mixtape Tour. While most of the NMT zombies are somewhat hard, this one pips them all due to its pure firepower. Well, all but one. Number 7 is the Mecha Football Zombie. Although many of the enemies in Far Future are very similar to each other, mostly by being bulky healthy robots, this one pushes plants back rather than eating them. What's wrong with pushing plants back, you ask? I will tell you, shut up. Not only does it mess up your formations, many plants in the bag getting knocked out of the lawn, so if you're using citrons, watch out. But the weapon of choice surely is the EM Peach. Those 10 seconds could be crucial. But the fight is still difficult considering they can destroy an infinite force field instantly, so today they're the only zombies that can do this. Well, pianos and barrel roller zombies can crush it, but there's a slight delay so I'm not counting it. And speaking of variants of the classic football zombie, the All-Star Zombie. Somebody once told me the Bob will roll the zombie. He's not the sharpest fool on the field. Well, the plants start coming and they don't stop coming. Fed to the food and the zombies hit the ground running. Hey now, you're an all-star, get your game on, go play. No, you're not a rock star, you'll see him later. He runs and charges at your plants, so unless you can kill him instantly, you'll need to use a certain plant as bait. After charging, he's basically just a buckethead, but if there's any Super Imp fans, well, that's problematic for plants at the back. I know it's been glitched now, so they rarely destroy plants, but you know, in general cases. To up the ante even more, you can't use a mag machine to remove his helmet, unlike in the first game, so there's no cheap victory. 5 is the Fisherman Zombie. The best thing about the zombie is that it cannot appear outside of Big Wave Beach, and that's just about it. The ability to hook a plant and drown in the walls make the zombie incredibly important to defeat early, and it stays at the back of the lawn so it's hard to reach and essentially covered by other zombies. And let's not forget this is Big Wave Beach, 100% the hardest world in the game. Even straight shooters aren't too effective because he'll reel them in bit by bit. You could plant disposable plant as baits and use a banana launcher on them, but even then it's difficult to get a banana launcher in. Number 4, the Jurassic War Puncher. The good news is, you only get this in battles in the expansion levels for Jurassic Marsh. The bad news, it takes the only fairly hard Jurassic bully and then gives it rocks to punch plants with, killing them instantly and leaving a burning patch you can't plant on for some time. No quick cherry bomb solutions here then. Also, to add to the difficulty even more, he gets a major health boost. An easy way to tackle them, however, is to use a squash that has been upgraded to the point it smashes more than once. That is assuming there's no zombies behind the squash, of course. 3. The Octo Zombie. Remember how the Wizard Zombie was super problematic because it turned plants into sheep? At least they turn back when you defeat the zombie because that doesn't happen with this guy. He uses his speed, his disadvantage, to his advantage to hide behind many zombies and throws octopi at plants in his lane, and lord it's difficult to destroy the octopi if they land on a plant at the back. Some decent strategies are to use the Starfruit because they're multi-directional attacks, and to use Hot Potato when it's leveled up to at least 5, which takes ages, because it can melt the octopi, but if you don't select your army carefully to cater to this zombie, then you're in a world of trouble. Also, to rub salt into the wound even more, they've got more health than the wizards. Tough stuff. Number 2, the Sunday Edition zombie. Yet another expansion pack zombie. But let's ignore that for a moment and talk about the newspaper zombie on its own. Kind of like a Pharaoh zombie on steroids on its return from the original game, whereas just simply a low armor zombie that speeds up slightly when you destroy the paper. Now its newspaper is bucket levels of tough, for some reason, being a newspaper, and the zombie runs as fast as a chicken after losing it. Also, he eats super fast, so defensive plants won't do a hell of a lot. Of course you can use instant kills, but that's when we get to the Sunday Edition zombie. Plants that ignore armor such as Chili Bean, Grim Rose and Shadow Shroom can neutralise it well, but if you think the newspaper zombie couldn't be any harder, you're wrong. And the hardest zombie in the game is the Hair Metal Gargantua. Out of all of them, this makes a Giga Gargantua look like a raw zombie. Sure, the Prime can fire lasers, the Sloth can throw 3 imps, and the Jurassic has a bugger ton of health, but those don't hold a candle to being able to crush a plant you're on and send a shockwave to take out any ranged plant. Sure, it only happens during the metal jam, because apparently metal is superior to any other genre of music, but even on its own, if the rap jam is playing, the worst one, a breakdancer zombie can kick it forward. Also, he sometimes just hits the ground even if there's no plant there just to send out a shockwave. His health is similar to a normal Gargantua, so a double instant kill could still be the solution, but with his range attack, the imp is also a problem. Furthermore, while I rarely take endless zones into account on these vids, it's not unusual for HMG to be the first zombie, so you need to speedily build a defense, leaving you in even more of a rush than Geddy Lee in a traffic jam. Yeah, this is an appropriate time for music puns, right? Those are the 10 hardest zombies in the game. No need for introduction, it's a phrase now. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe.